There's one sandwich that just might be the best on planet Earth. The only catch is that it's only the best for 1, maybe 2 months out of the entire year. Of course I'm talking about the B.L.T. And while a mentally stable, normal person might put one together in like 5 minutes, you and we're gonna do it in about a week and a half. Some of you might ask, why? Adam, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why am I watching this video? Well, because we're in pursuit of maximum enjoyment for this fleeting summertime staple. And, of course, I'm really excited for this. It's gonna be a good sandwich. Bread is the flavor anchor and the structure of sandwich anatomy. There are artisan versions, obviously, but originally you're gonna see toasted white bread used to make a B.L.T, which is good and fine. No hate, I love Wonder Bread, but it's a little uninspired. I feel like we could do better. So we're going with a fresh, homemade sourdough bread. Yes, it's a bit of a project, I understand that. You're essentially feeding a little tub of goo like a Tamagotchi for a week to get it ready to bake bread. But honestly, nothing compares to that deep, kind of slightly tangy chew that homemade sourdough brings to the table. It has enough backbone to hold the sandwich together without collapsing and getting too mushy, but also soft enough not to massacre the roof of your mouth. A while back, I traveled to one of Chicago's most famous bakeries, Republican Quality Bread. There, I met with an awesome baker. Everybody in the city knows him for his bread, Greg Wade. Dude's a beast. Republican Quality Bread is one of those bakeries that people flex about and put the name of the bakery on the menu if they're serving the bread. That's how good it is. I went to the bakery. Greg showed me all his tips and tricks and secrets and insights about how to make sourdough the proper way. Then in another video, I actually took those insights and made my own version of sourdough bread. I have a whole video on just how to do that. It's a bit of a project. If I were to do that now for you, that would add probably like 300 gigabytes of data to this video. So instead, I've gone ahead and taken our sourdough to the most exciting part of the process, right? The actual baking part of it. But if you're carbo curious and want to go on your own bread making journey, I'll link that video below for you. Otherwise, let's bake. So at this point, the bread has been proofing overnight, fermenting in my fridge in this basket thing called a banneton. These longer shapes are called batards, while the round loaves are called boules. I'm gonna plop that out over some semolina dusted parchment paper, then spray it down with some agua to help create that moist environment that all happy sourdough loaves love. Once scored, that's gonna go into a ripping hot Dutch oven that's been preheating at 500 degrees Fahrenheit in my oven for the past hour. Once those babies bake for a little bit, we're just gonna remove that lid to see the oven spring. That's how we can tell how much rise our bread got. Then we just finish it off in the oven for color. A telltale sign of properly fermented bread, not just sourdough, but any sort of bread, is if the outside skin has little bubbles on it, right? If you see those little guys all over the crust, that's fermented bread, which means it's usually gonna be more flavorful. And if one is slightly larger than the other, that's totally okay, totally normal and healthy. All right, so we've done the hardest part, but now we gotta let these things rest for at least a couple hours before you slice into them, which is the perfect amount of time to get going on our other stuff. Sure, you can go to the grocery store and buy some pretty good bacon for like sub 10 bucks. But for absolutely no logical reason, we're gonna make our own from scratch today. Because again, curing and smoking meat is an ancient survival tactic, but nowadays it's a luxury, right? We do it for hedonistic pleasure and because the smoke flavor is a good one. It tastes great. Making bacon from scratch allows us to control the cure, control the amount of smoke the bacon gets, the fat to meat ratio, and importantly, the thickness of the bacon. We're gonna talk all about that. Curing meat is a food preservation technique that involves treating the meat with salt, sometimes sugar, nitrites, and nitrates to inhibit bacterial growth and extends its shelf life. Curing the meat is what gives the protein that signature pink hue and makes it so salty. And no, this is not Himalayan pink salt. If you have too much of this, it can actually cause a lot of damage, so be careful when you use curing salts. Follow my measurements in the recipe and you're gonna be good. We're gonna take our pork belly here, which is skin off because my dad got too much at Costco and donated me the other half. Rub it down with that salt cure mix and a couple other spices. The other spices are optional, but again, those will be in the recipe for you. Our pork belly has been in a plastic bag for a little over a week. I just flip-flopped it every couple of days to make sure the cure was even. If using them, go ahead and remove all those spices.
Anisi.
Don't worry, the hard part's over. We're gonna pop that on a wire rack and let it sit one more night in the fridge, where the air exposure is gonna help form a tacky, slightly dry outer layer that's called a pellicle. It's important to help the smoke cling to the meat. Alright, check this thing out. Here's a cool little kitchen gadget for you. This is called a smoke tube. Basically, you load it up with little wood chips or pellets, light it, and it burns slow, kind of like a cigar in your grill, not providing any heat. This is called cold smoking, and that's what we're doing to our bacon. Hot smoking would be cooking it. The cold smoke is just brushing it with smoke for a long time. This is a really cool tool to smoke anything that you don't want to get super hot. Think fats like, butter, olive oil, even spices or nuts, or even vegetables like chilies or tomatoes or something. After a few hours in the smoke bath, this is our pork belly. You can see the color has completely changed. It's really starting to look like bacon. Now, I have a chamber vacuum sealer, which I understand is a very strange thing to own, so you can just go ahead, pop this back into a Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge or freezer until you need it. I actually put the bacon in the freezer for about 4 hours before shooting this because it makes slicing it a lot easier. And remember, use your sharpest knife to avoid a brain aneurysm. You don't want to chunk this bacon that we so lovingly made. Moment of truth here. Oh yeah, look at that beautiful hue there. It's looking nice and cured. You got the smoke on the outside. That's looking great. I love the fat to meat ratio too. Here's the thing, I want to cut this bacon pretty thick. Not only because I don't want to pull my deli slicer out of storage, but also because, well, you'll see why. It's dang near half an inch. You probably already know this, but the cleanest and easiest way to make bacon is on a sheet tray in your oven. Set that bad boy to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, place that in the middle rack and let it ride for 20 to 25 minutes. If you want that super dark, crispy, Howl's Moving Castle bacon look, go ahead and broil it off to finish. I would say this is the same size as the thick cut bacon that you can get from the store before it's cooked. That thick cut stuff from the store renders down like this and gets smaller. This was massive, so when it rendered down, it stayed thick. It's gonna be semi-meaty, semi-crunchy, crispy in some parts, a nice variety. Hot take, as long as you use a slicing tomato grown in summertime, I don't care which tomato you use. The point is, it's gotta be ripe, heavy, and juicy enough to drip down your forearms when you bite into it, right? Something that you just can't really get your hands on in any other season but summer here. In my opinion, the tomato is the star of the show when it comes to the sandwich. Of course, everything works together, but without a good tomato, this thing's no bueno. Now, I live in an apartment in the city of Chicago, right? I don't have much garden space here. But lucky for us, I happen to know somebody who has a pretty awesome garden. It's just a bit of a ways away, so let's take a field trip. My mom's garden is basically her life work. She's been at it for over 30 years, and if you so much as step a foot in her backyard, you're getting the full tour whether you ask for it or not. She and my stepdad have spent the last decade turning the backyard into this ridiculously productive little Eden. And in the summer, you physically cannot leave their house without a bag of vegetables, straight up. Minimum weight, 5 pounds. It's like TSA, but with zucchini.
This is like an ideal tomato for...
Good slicer?
Yeah, really good slicer. Look at that beauty. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
When you slice into them, they're this beautiful black and red and green. They're just like one of my absolute favorite tomatoes to grow.
That is a specimen of a meter.
Only for my boy.
All right, fruit secured. We got a couple varieties. Let's head back to the crib and slice them up. Here's where my opinion might get divisive. I hope not, but it might. Kind of like the bacon, I want these tomatoes cut thick. Remember what I said, this is a tomato sandwich. We want there to be a substantial stack of tomatoes on this thing. All right, so all these things need are a little bit of salt, some fresh BP, just a little drizzle of olive oil for good measure. Salting the tomatoes helps pull out some of their moisture, concentrating that tomato flavor. The black pepper and olive oil is straight up for taste. I'm just gonna let these sit at room temperature while we get going on some of the other things. The lettuce in our B.L.T. has one job, to be the cool, crisp counterpoint against our super rich mayo and our smoky bacon. You can think of the lettuce as sort of like the air conditioning unit for our sandwich, right? It should be kind of snappy, again, crisp, cool. Yeah, that can be a number of different lettuces. I got a couple of favorites, we're gonna talk about them, but just keep in mind if you're gonna make the sandwich, use good lettuce. Don't use that stuff that's been sitting in the fridge for like 3 days that's all floppy and weird. So to avoid the flop, and also because my mom decided not to grow lettuce this year, we're heading to my local farmer's market. Bib lettuce, romaine, and yes, iceberg all work fantastic on a BLT, but this is what was fresh. Green leaf lettuce, classic. It's slightly robust, it's lively, crunchy, it's gonna work great on the sandwich. After you wash your lettuce, you can go ahead and pluck pieces off the stalk, or you can try this. Try cutting them into rounds. It's almost like a lettuce patty. It just adds intrigue to the texture and the look of the sandwich. Mayo is good. Mayo is the Midwest's lifeblood. We stan mayo. But this sandwich deserves more than good. So we're gonna upgrade that mayo to green goddess dressing, which at its core is still essentially mayo. But it's supercharged with fresh summer herbs, umami, you got the acid in there. It's really nice and it's really bright and green and looks beautiful, and it just screams summertime, just like a BLT does. Also, fun fact, mayo actually has an SPF of 25. So next time you're in a pinch at the beach and you got a little sandwich with you, you know. Is that true? No. It's not, but I wrote it down and I thought it was moderately funny, so yeah, don't be rubbing mayo on your face or your children's face, please. Green goddess. First we gotta start by making a mayonnaise. We're going to go in with one egg and one extra yolk. Lemon juice, a little Dijon musty, pinch of salt, and that'll be our start, the base. Nice, looking good. That's a smooth, pretty texture. Now we can add our other stuff. Now we're gonna go in with our garlic, chopped garlic, get it all over your floor. A little bit of anchovies. Sounds gnarly to some, but adds great umami. I'm gonna hit it with a little more acid in the form of white wine vinegar. Sauvignon Blanc vinegar. We want it punchy, tangy. Black pep and white pep. That's optional. We got basil, dill, scallion, parsley, cilantro, and mint. This is often made with tarragon as well, but I didn't have any, and I didn't get any from the store. We have plenty of herbs, we're good. A lot of herbs in there. I am gonna add a touch more of that lemon juice. We're cooking from the heart here. At this point, we're gonna swap the neutral oil for flavorful olive oil and slowly drizzle that in to make our emulsification. All right, let's see how green we got. I would say that's quite green. Now, how the heck did we almost forget about the GP? Sauce could use a little tiny pinch. Oh yeah. This is kind of like a creamy Caesar with a lot of herbs in it, pretty much. And this will just develop flavor as it sits in the fridge. It'll also thicken as it cools. All right, so we've prepped all of our ingredients for the BLT. Now it's finally time to build it. Nice. A nice open crumb, but not too open. Smells so tangy. With sourdough, like I don't want like a massive hole going through the bread here, so you wanna cut it kind of robusto. Yes, we're gonna toast our sourdough off in some butter and olive oil. However, I'm only gonna toast one side. We want one side crispy for texture and the other soft so it's not too crispy. There is such thing as too crispy. Bread down, crispy side, bottom. I'm gonna hit this bottom piece with some of our green goddess. We're gonna go down first with some delicious crispy lettuce. We're gonna sandwich the wet ingredient between the lettuce. And now for the bacon. I'm putting 4 big old chunks, slices on. Now we'll sauce up the other side. Holy mackerel, look at that thing. That is maximalist. I think we gotta cut it in half. Oh, baby. It's funny to think this little unassuming guy took like so long to make, and here we are finally able to try it. So super stoked on that. Let's get it. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. All right, salud. Look how meaty that bacon is, man. There's actually a lot of smoke on that. It's awesome. Crisp outside, soft inside, that aioli, a little bit of the tomato juice, the bacon, the big robust tomatoes, the lettuce. It's all kind of holding together. Still quite dry. There are other things that go fantastic on this sandwich. You can make it a B.L.T.A, right? Add avocado, that's always welcome on my sandwich. Shout out B.L.T.A. B.L.T.A.T. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, turkey, avocado. Bacon, lettuce, avocado, turkey and avocado are always welcome on the sandwich. I'm sure there's other great combos. If you have a favorite one, pop it in the comments, man. I'm looking for some inspiration. But there's ain't nothing wrong with the original guy, okay? The original guy was the reason this thing even's on anyone's radar. Sorry, I just had like a predatory moment there. Inner fat kid came out. Okay, so we gotta answer the overarching question here. Is the B.L.T worth making from scratch? I'm gonna say yes, with an asterisk. I've said this on the channel, I'm gonna say it again. If you love cooking and you wanna take on new projects, right? Baking, that's a whole like column of cooking, of savory baking, cooking, whatever, sweet too. You got curing, right? Smoking, that charcuterie side of things. You have the vegetables, right? You consider that gardening, getting down and dirty and growing your own food. And then of course the Green Goddess, that's just like, I guess, I don't know, like a lesson in sauce making, kind of. It's like a cold sauce, but still kinda. Point is, you can learn a lot from kind of deep diving into each one of these topics. I would say it is worth it, man. Give this one a try. It's a lot of fun, and you'll be left with a lot of stuff here so you can feed your friends and fam too, which is always nice. Thanks for watching until the end of the video, guys. You already know the drill. If you like the video, like the video. It helps the channel out. If you're new to the chan, sub to the chan, join the party, join Tomato Nation, join the bacon boys. The best way to support the channel is over on the Patreon, aka the grocery fund. It helps me literally do everything and keep making these videos. If you love to cook and you're looking for other people who love to cook to chat with, come say what's good in Discord. Come introduce yourself. We got a great community over there. I do giveaways, we talk shop, we share pictures, all that stuff. Oh, and cop a shirt. It's another great way to support the channel. Got a little MSG logo in the back here. We love monosodium glutamate. I also have a sweet hat too if you're into that sort of thing. I hope you're enjoying your summer and this video inspired you to get out there, pluck a mater and make a B.L.T. Enjoy the warm weather while you can. So until next we meet. Later.